Mangalacharan.
Yeah, you can do.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapanakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana-sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padana Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanuste Devi Hanumami Hari Priye Neelachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Sutabhyam Jagannathaye Te Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishnapreshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminite Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mangalacharan ki jai. Hare Bol.
Trikaya, you can take over from here.
Yes. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all. And first, I would like to say, first, I would like to ask for your blessings, for your prayers, so that I can be saved. So may the right thing comes out of my mouth at the right time with the right mood. Okay, Hare Krishna. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namaha. I'm sharing the screen. So, our beloved Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita has mentioned, Chaitanya Charitamrita Nitya Karupani, that we should take time out to study Chaitanya Charitamrita every single day, Nitya. Karupan, the word pan means to taste, to have aswadan, to relish. So, Kaviraj Goswami says, by everyday reading, hearing, relishing the pastime of Mahaprabhu, Jaha Huite Premananda Bhakti Tattva Gyan, one will have transcendental knowledge in the head and ecstatic symptoms in the heart. So, many times what happens in the process of gaining transcendental knowledge, the weight of our head increases because we end up becoming PhD here and kindergarten from the heart. Because when life tests us, the heart speaks, not the head. On the Vyas Asana, the head is speaking, but when life tests, the heart speaks. It is very easy to say, I'm your servant. As soon as Krishna jumped into the Yamuna, the hoods of Kaliya came out. And that's exactly what happens. When people throw stones into the water pond of our consciousness, either it can create ripples of ecstasy, seeing Krishna's hand, or it can agitate our consciousness. So, small things. We have some examples. We come to the temple, we have our chappal outside, and after that, when we go outside, we cannot find our chappal, and that agitates us. And then second circumstance, then one chappal you get and you don't get the another chappal. That is even more agitating. If you don't get both, that at least you can let go and walk on the path of renunciation. But you get one chappal and you do not get the other, that is a problem. Right? Even the smallest things agitates us. Everyone gets khichdi, we also get khichdi. No problem. Everyone gets roti, sabzi, dal, rice with sweets, and we get khichdi, that's a problem. So what is the tipping point? What is the point after which we start getting agitated? Whereas, what is the point? Whereas, depending on the consciousness. The lower the consciousness, the tipping point is also low. Very quickly, we can get agitated on small things possible. And then we can justify it very wonderfully. No, you said that is why I got agitated. But the more advanced the consciousness point of agitation, the point of tipping is so high that even if Hiranyakashipu tries his best, it doesn't reaches the tipping point of Prahlad. Hiranyakashipu tried his best. He's trying to torture to the best of his ability. Think about it. It is not that he had a different department to take care of the killing of Prahlad. He is personally supervising, personally undertaking the task of the destruction, the killing of Prahlad. It is not like that he has so much to do and killing of Prahlad is out of many tasks he do. He forgets, he doesn't do his job well. No. His only job, his only business, his only agenda is the destruction of Prahlad. 330 million demigods are cutting vegetables in his kitchen. And that's how great Hiranyakashipu was as far as taking charge of control in the lives of others. Even Indra would tremble just by the movement of the eyebrow of Hiranyakashipu, not by the movement of the hands, but by the movement of the eyebrow. And eyebrow is the smallest part of the face, one of the smallest part of the face. And Indra is not a normal demigod. Actually, demigods are not normal, but Indra is the king of demigods. How powerful Hiranyakashipu was. He has army with him, weapons with him. He had studied all Shastras as possible. Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, when we hear them speak, it's like they are pure devotees. They know all the philosophies, all the shlokas, all the commentaries, all the purports, conclusion of everything. But what makes them a demon? That they don't follow it. They know everything, but they do not follow it. So sometimes we think demons don't know philosophy. Well, they know. They know all the philosophies. If we hear Kamsa speak, if we hear Ravana speak, it's jaw-dropping scholarship. जटातवि गलज्जल प्रवाह पावितस्थले गले विलम्बितं मालिकं डमट्टमट्टमट्टम विनादवतमर्प्ययम् चकार चंडिता davam tanotu na shiva shiva. This famous composition is coming from the heart of Ramana, the famous Shiva Tandav Strotra. Very powerful personality, right? Kamsa, very powerful personality. It is described that his arms had the power of 10,000 maddened elephants, not just elephants, but 10,000 maddened, intoxicated elephants. Yes, especially when Krishna comes to Mathura, the Mathura Vasis were very concerned about Krishna, very concerned for Krishna, because they know the power of Kamsa. So Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, they're all very powerful. And Hiranyakashipu's only business was the destruction of Prahlad. But it doesn't agitate Prahlad. He can peacefully sleep, he can peacefully honor Prasadam, he can peacefully chant the holy names, because his tipping point doesn't exist. He does not get agitated because he sees the hand of Krishna. So, Kaviraj Goswami describes that when somebody studies Chaitanya Charitamrita, not just knowledge of the head, but the consciousness lotus blossoms to such an extent that all good qualities comes in, and even when there are reasons to get agitated, we don't get agitated. For a conditioned soul, if there is no reason to get agitated, they still get agitated. It's almost verbal fights, small things. Verbal fights, blowing up countries, blowing up cities, blowing up structures, communal rights, religious fights, divorces, and fights between brothers for property. Even the smallest thing possible. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes when we hear the pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the lotus of our heart opens to such an extent that we will see the hand of Krishna in everything. And there is no agitation. Absolutely no agitation. Simple example. When we get into a martial arts coaching class, like you start taking lessons on martial arts, and here is the teacher who's fighting with the student, not because he envies the student, but because he wants the student to be better than where he is at this point. So sometimes he may punch him, or sometimes he may slam him down. But now if the student starts thinking that the teacher hates me, every time I go to the class, he takes me as a punching bag and punches me. Is it the right understanding? No, it is not. And that student will never go to such classes, because that is something very detrimental to his happiness. But on the other hand, if he is convinced that his martial arts teacher loves him and just wants him to get better and better and better, so any punch, it's only there to check how he defenses. And if the defenses is good, and he can protect himself, and that is good. But if the defenses is not good, then there is a scope to work on. So we are convinced that Krishna is our best ever well-wishing martial arts teacher, and this world is the classroom of martial arts. So when we get punches and kicks in life, it is not because somebody else envies us, but because Krishna uses them as an instrument to check whether our defenses are right or not, whether we are able to defend properly or not. So we are just students of the Supreme Lord Krishna, as he is Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. He is our teacher, and we are his students. Now, if we see that this person is doing what have no connection to this person, so we do not see him as our well-wisher, and we won't take punches from anyone. Why would anyone comes and slam me? Right? But if you see that any reversal in life, anything for that matter, anything happy or anything sad, it's coming ultimately from Krishna. So there are three things which we must remember. First, Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna never makes mistakes. And Krishna loves us like no one else in the whole creation has ever loved us. So, Krishna is the supreme controller. There's never a case when we will go to Krishna and say, why this happened to me? And Krishna will say, well, I don't know. I cannot do anything. I heard your japa. I know that is wrong. That is injustice. This shouldn't happen in your life. But what to do? Surya and Chandra are way more stronger. Rahu and Ketu are way more stronger. No, this will never happen, because every situation is get sanctioned by Krishna. Everything happy, everything sad. And next one, Krishna never makes mistake, which means that whatever we get is well calculated by Krishna over lifetimes. We don't know ourselves the way Krishna knows us. We don't love ourselves the way Krishna loves us, because we see ourselves 30, 40, 50 years into this body. But Krishna, he knows every single thing, and he knows us from last 50 billion lifetimes, even more. So he knows every single thing that we have done, spoken, conceived, and even imagined. And all the dreams and all the thoughts, he knows everything. And Krishna calculates. It's like loading. Please wait. And there is no error 404. In Krishna's calculation, just like we have these are in our technical thing, error 404. So there is nothing. Krishna never makes mistake. Everything is well calculated, and he knows what's best for us. So he gave us what's best. And so Krishna knows Krishna knows, and every situation gets sanctioned by Krishna. He never makes mistakes. So it's meant for me. And most important, Krishna loves me like no one else in the whole creation has ever loved me, or each one of us. Even we don't love ourselves the way Krishna loves us. Even our mother cannot love us the way Krishna loves us. Because when we were in our mother's womb, we had not seen our mother. Our mother had not seen us. We left the previous mother, we came into the new mother. Between those two mothers, who is the one protecting us? Protecting me? Who is the one loving me at that time and nourishing me at that time? My mother gets attached to me when I was born. But what about before? Where was I? Krishna was loving me even then. It's just that I don't see his hand. So, if I'm convinced that Krishna is the supreme controller, if I am convinced that Krishna never makes mistake, and if I'm convinced that Krishna loves me, every situation that comes to me on my plate of life actually is a punch coming from my martial arts teacher called Krishna, only to make me stronger in life, only to see if I actually mean what I say. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam, jagadish kamai. And Krishna says, really? And there's a punch. And if you're able to defend in life, that means what we are saying through the prayers, we are actually there. Prahlad was there. Prahlad was instructing everyone, see Krishna in everything. But yes, see Krishna in everything. The last instruction Prahlad Maharaj gave his friend was to see Krishna in all circumstances, see Krishna in everything. And Narasimhadev thought of testing Prahlad on the same principle that Prahlad preached. Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is your Vishnu? And Prahlad had just preached that Vishnu is everywhere. And he told his classmates, see Vishnu everywhere. And now, when Hiranyakashipu asked him, Prahlad Maharaj did not say, well, I don't know. He says he's in the heart, but I don't know. No, he didn't say like that. He said, he is everywhere. And that's when Hiranyakashipu slams the pillar. And Prahlad Maharaj looked at the pillar, and there he sees Narasimhadev warming up, cracking his fingers, getting ready. And Prahlad Maharaj looked inside and asked, what do I say? Narasimhadev said, Narasimhadev winks at him and said, I'm ready. And Hiranyakashipu slams the pillar, and there comes the Supreme Personality of God, the Supreme Lord. Because Prahlad Maharaj had won his heart by winning over the test. So many times we read, we hear this, but when life pinches, we scream in our mother language, in our mother tongue. What does that mean? We can learn multiple languages, but when we are pinched in the sleep, we will always exclaim in our mother tongue. There's an age-old saying that if you pinch someone, they will always exclaim in their mother tongue. Although they may know 10 different languages, if you pinch, they will just say something in their own mother tongue. Which means we can act in 10 different languages in front of our spouse, in front of our families, in front of this community. We can act, but when Krishna pinches us through circumstances, we exclaim in the consciousness that we are in. So, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes that by studying Chaitanya Charitamrita, the pastimes of Krishna, Mahaprabhu, what happens? The lotus of our consciousness blossoms, which means our responses in life will be better. How many times have all of us thought about it? When someone tells something and we feel so tempted to give back a response, right? And we do that. Later we repent. How many of us? It's many of us. At least I have done it. So, and One more question. And how many of us, and how many times, honestly, have we felt happy that we kept quiet in a very, very provocative situation, and later we felt, ah, Krishna, thank you for shutting my mouth at that time. Otherwise, I would have blabbered out something which I shouldn't say. Right? So, what gives us that strength? It is hearing about Krishna, it is chanting about him. You can okay. you can you can read about roti sabzi dal rice. You can hear about roti sabzi dal rice. You can even speak about roti sabzi dal rice. You can even imagine about roti sabzi dal rice. But till the time you actually don't taste it, the body is going to be weak. Only after tasting, the body will be strong. Is it not? So, we can speak about bhakti. We can hear about bhakti. We can even think about bhakti. We can read about bhakti. But till the time we actually don't chant the holy names and engage in service, we don't actually practically jump into the ocean of bhakti. Our consciousness will never develop. So we should just start doing it. Start serving the Supreme Lord, and then our consciousness will develop. Otherwise, it is not possible. Krishna consciousness is not simply about just putting on tilak and kanthimala and changing your dress. That is important, but it is Krishna consciousness. The consciousness lotus must blossom, which means our response to situation that we were giving 10 years ago and what we are giving now and what we will give 10 years from now, it should be different. If 10 years ago we were agitated on small, small things, now we should not now we should not do that. Now we should gain the strength to overcome such circumstances. If Krishna conscious practice doesn't make us a better individual, then we are going wrong somewhere. There is never There is never a circumstance when someone is a good devotee and a bad human being. Not possible. Good, if someone is a bad human being, he can be a good devotee. Because a good devotee is not simply a devotee in the temple. He is a devotee in all circumstances. He is a devotee at work, when he gains money, when he loses money, when he gains health, when he loses health, when someone glorifies him, when someone criticizes him. Why? Because he sees the hands of Krishna, the hand of Krishna in everything. If we do not see the hand of Krishna, when something auspicious happens to us, we are happy. And when something inauspicious happens, we are sad. But when we are convinced that every circumstances comes through Krishna and who loves us, I may not be able to see it as happiness, but it is actually good. Please ask ourselves, when we stand for Charanamrita, do we stand first analyzing पानी का चरणामृत है या पंचामृत है? Is it out of water or is it out of panchamrit with honey, yogurt, and all these things? We don't, right? We don't care for that. The fact is that it has touched the lotus feet of the Lord, and that's all what matters. Whether it is made out of water or made out of panchamrit, it doesn't matter. Similarly, whether it is happiness or distress, the fact that it has touched the body of the Lord, the body of Krishna, life becomes Charanamrita for us. We accept all circumstances, irrespective of whether it is because we know it has been sent by Krishna. Does it matter which male boy brings the letter? Doesn't matter. All that matter is who is sending it to us. When we get letters at home, it doesn't matter who is bringing, but but it but all that matters is who has sent it. So we thank that person. We thank you. I really appreciate it. But we spent more time opening the envelope and reading the letter and reading the letter. So similarly, who brings, it doesn't matter. Who's sending circumstances in our lives, that's what matters. What we do, someone who keeps us happy, we take them as friends, and someone who who gives us pain, we treat them as our enemy. But they are simply the mailman who are bringing the documents. But the document circumstance in life is actually being sent by Krishna. Are we all awake? Because we are becoming conscious about who is sending the message. Oh, no, about who is the mailman, and we are making friends and enemies out of them. But we shouldn't do, because we should see the hand of Krishna in that circumstances also. So Kaviraj Goswami mentions, only if we can see the hands of Krishna, everything is auspicious. Krishna is the martial arts teacher. Sometimes he may embrace us. Sometimes he may punches us, only to make us better and strong as devotees. His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj used to give a very beautiful example. Maharaj used to say that sometimes when children are very small, the father plays with the child. And what does he play? How does he play? He picks the child and throws the child up in the air. Have you all done and seen that? In India, it is common. My father has done that to me, and I remember. So, fathers or mothers, they will play with the child. They pick the child and they throw the child and they embrace the child, right? Are they the enemies of the child? They are not. But the first time when the father throws the child thinks, what is this? I came to get embraced by my father, and here is the father throwing me, right? You don't express love by throwing somebody out. Not that he throws him out of the whole cosmic creation, but he just throws him like maybe 1 feet. The first time the child goes through that experience, he or she thinks, what is going on? But then when they realize the person throwing is the person waiting there open arm, the child gain confidence. So multiple things happens. The father is playing with the child, but because the child does not know, so he feels fear. Similarly, Krishna as our father, sometimes we as his children, he plays with us and he is just playing with us, and we think that that is trouble. Why would my father do this? Why does God do these things? He's actually just playing with the child. Only if we understand the person who's playing with us is the one who is ready to hold us when we need them, when we take shelter of. Now, once the child understands, that my father is actually playing with me, what do you think the child is going to do? Even when the father stops playing, the child will say, "Oh no, more, father." And the father says, "Okay, one more time." And after some time, when the father stops, he will say, once more. What's happening? Initially, the child did not like it. But as the child understands that my father is actually playing with me, he does not hate me, and he is my protector, he is my maintainer. The child wants more and more. And this exactly what Queen Kunti is asking for. Oh dear Krishna, please give me more and more trouble, which means play with me more, because I know every time when I'm in the air, I'm looking down only at you for help. At times of difficulties, we only look up to Krishna. How many times like have we remember Krishna when we are happy? Very less. But when we are sad, even an atheist say, "Oh my God." So in the science of acupressure, in the science of acupuncture, some pain is good. It relieves the body of knots. It relieves the body of pain. So Krishna gives that through circumstances. And it's not that he does it by his own, like on his own. He is doing only to facilitate our past karma. But we end up complicating, entangling circumstances more and more by blaming people around us. That actually he did, no, actually she did, actually they did. So when we see Krishna, like when we see the whole picture, then we will get to know what Krishna's plan is. Instead of blaming and complaining and criticizing, we should just have faith in Krishna. So Shripad and Prabhu used to give him a very beautiful, very, very beautiful example. He would say, if you throw a bone in front of a dog, what does the dog see? What do you think the dog sees? He sees the food. If 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 you throw bone in front of a dog, he will see the bone. Now try throwing a bone in front of a lion. What do you think the lion sees? He will see the bone, and very quickly he sees who is the thrower of the bone. So he's going to see the bone, and then immediately he will look at the source where the bone is coming from, and that's where he's going to focus on. He's not going to focus so much on the bone. You throw the bone in front of a dog, and dog is just looking at the bone, licking at the bone, analyzing the dimension of the bone, not so much about who threw the bone. He takes the bone and forgets the thrower. But a lion is not like that. You throw a bone in front of a lion, the lion sees the bone for a second and an hour-long glance at the thrower of the bone. So Shripad and Prabhu used to say that is the difference between a dog mentality and a lion mentality. Krishna throws the bone like circumstances in our life, and if you are busy looking at the circumstance, blaming the people in that circumstance, it's like analyzing the bone, licking the bone, looking at the bone, and nothing to do about who threw the bone. But the lion circumstance, the lion consciousness is looking at the bone like circumstance in life and very quickly seeing who threw the circumstance at me, and that is Krishna. So, what consciousness do you want? Lion consciousness, right? So, circumstance can be different. It is very interesting. Sometimes the bone can be thin, sometimes it can be big from a dog perspective. So, if it's a little bone, he's unhappy. But if it's a bigger bone, he's happy. But whether the bone is small or big, it doesn't matter to the lion because the lion is interested not in the bone but the thrower of the bone. Is it not? So, if we look at the circumstance in life, sometimes the circumstance bone can be very small in the form of distress and we are sad. And sometimes the circumstance bone can be very big and we are happy. And the person who gave it to me, if if it if it is a happy circumstance, he's my friend. And if it's a sad circumstance, he's my enemy. So we are analyzing and licking and tasting the bone like circumstances in life and making friends and enemies in this world. And making friends and enemies in this world. But a devotee looks at the bone like circumstance, whether it is thin and small, or happy or distressed, doesn't matter. The person throwing the bone is what really matters. And that is Krishna, who will never change and who never changes. Every single circumstance, details are different. So consciousness jumps up and down. When everything is good, the consciousness is up. And if something is wrong, or everything is wrong, the consciousness is down. It's like a pendulum. We go back and forth, mood swings. Is it not? Our intentions are different with different people depending on our mood. And that makes us very agitated. Because we are focusing on the bone so much that so much. But if we focus on the thrower of the bone, that's never going to change. It's always going to be constant. If we love the thrower of the bone, doesn't matter what the bone is, we will still love it. And that's what lion mentality is. And to teach this, the Supreme Lord came as half man and half lion. It does not, he didn't came like half man and half dog. Nowadays, people are more interested in half man and half spider, half man and half bat, Batman, Spider-Man. But we follow Hanuman, Lion Man, Nrsimhadev. So, Kaviraj Goswami describes, just by hearing the pastimes of the Lord, the lotus of our consciousness blossoms, and every associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was like this. Each and every associate, they loved whatever came there. How many of us had played Antakshari? At some point in our life, you don't have to feel embarrassed. Well, I'm initiated, what all the devotees will think of me. He's putting tilak and kanti and playing Antakshari. No, at least at some point in our life, we have played Antakshari. So, Antakshari is that game where you start off with a syllable and you sing a song starting with that syllable, and then you end that song on a certain syllable, and the next person picks up another song from that syllable, and it goes on. If you can't, then you lose, and if you can, then you win. Something like that. I don't know. When people play that game, when we play that game, when we get a letter, do we fight? Why this letter? Change this letter. Do we say that? Or we just sing a song? You just think of singing a song from that letter. You don't think of changing the song. For example, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. So R. You don't say, why is it R and why not K or M? Like, why not K or M? You don't fight. You just think of what you can see, what you can sing from R. So life is an Antakshari that Krishna is playing with us. Krishna is our friend, and friends play Antakshari. Every circumstance that come our way is actually a syllable that Krishna is throwing at us. So we better start singing song from that circumstance. We start singing glories of Krishna instead of complaining. Why this happened to me? Why this happened to me? And instead of complaining, why I got this syllable and not that syllable, why somebody else has got better syllable. It's not about what he it's not about why he got a better syllable. We got a syllabus that Krishna has sent, and we are getting every circumstance. It's actually a new syllabus. Krishna loves to play. He loves to play. So we should learn to sing Krishna's glory starting from that circumstance. Oh Krishna, thank you so much. Something so bad could have happened, but you're so kind to me. Thank you. See Krishna in everything, absolutely everything. When Srila Prabhupada would go for walks, and the disciples would go with Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada one day saw a man doing jumping jacks on the park. And Prabhupada looked at him and said, that is the exercise for body, and this is the exercise for soul. Chanting. This is the exercise for soul. So the disciple who was with Prabhupada, his perspective about jumping jacks changes for life. Anytime and every time when he saw somebody going to the gym or doing jumping jacks, he got reminded of chanting. So connection to Krishna in every circumstances, whatever it may be, everything, like if we connect everything with Krishna, then we would be able to see a bigger picture, not blaming and criticizing and complaining. So I have a beautiful example. One devotee was honoring prasadam, and accidentally, while eating, he bit his tongue. And accidentally, he bit his tongue. And I think most of us has gone through this. Sometimes it can be excruciating depending on how sharp our teeth is. If we have bad teeth, then wonderful. But if we have good teeth, then it can be an excruciating experience. And he was in pain. He sips some water and looked at his friend, and he said, who's at fault? The tongue or the teeth? Very philosophical question, very philosophical on the dining table. Then he said to his friend, the tongue belongs to me, but the teeth also belongs to me. So I can't chastise the teeth and take sides with the tongue. And his friend agreed. And then he continued, similarly, we all belong to Krishna, when one person does something wrong to another person, Krishna cannot take sides over another because everyone belongs to him. Some acts like a teeth and bits on a tongue like person. Krishna is there with both. He loves everyone equally because we all belongs to the same mouth of Krishna's compassion. When he said that, he was very, very profound. And then he continued to make it more juicy. Actually, he said, actually, the mouth is like Lanka, and all the teeth are demons headed by Ravana, Kumbhakaran, Surpanakha, all of them. And he said, the tender tongue is Vibhishana. When the teeth bits the tongue, does the tongue ever bit the teeth? No. Why? Because it can't. And he said, even and even when Ravana and Kumbhakaran were biting the consciousness of Vibhishana, who is like the tongue, Vibhishan never bit back. Why? Not because he can, but because he couldn't. He does not know to retaliate. Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tad bhakta prabho pihi. Vaishnavas, because they see Krishna's hand in every circumstance, they don't think of retaliation. They accept it. Tiraskrita, even when they are criticized. Haridas Thakur was criticized. Vipralabdha, Pandavas were cheated. Shapta, even when they are cursed. Parikshit Maharaj was cursed. Kshipta, even when they are ignored or neglected. Jada Bharat were ignored like stones. Hata api, even on the brink of death. Haridas Thakur was whipped to departure, but all these devotees never think of retaliation because they see Krishna's hand. So he was explaining that Vibhishan is the tongue, and all the demons in Lanka are the sharp teeth, and Lanka is the house, and the Lanka is the Lanka is the mouth. So Lanka is the mouth, teeth are the demon, and Vibhishan is the tender tongue. Vibhishan does not leave Lanka, just like tongue doesn't leave the mouth because the teeth bit the tongue. The tongue does not leave the mouth, it stays there and it does not lose its softness. It doesn't say, let me become so strong. Now teeth have taken so much advantage of me. Now I have to take revenge. I have to take revenge from the teeth. It's not like that. So dear devotees, it is not the teeth that. So the tongue doesn't think like that, and it never retaliates. And therefore, dear devotees, it is not the teeth that tastes, but the tongue that tastes the food. So when Krishna sends mercy, it is not the teeth which is tasting the rasa, it is the tongue like heart who can taste it. Let's ask ourselves, what if we throw a pebble on the floor? What if we throw a pebble on the floor? What happens? But just falls there, doesn't bounce back, it doesn't do anything. But if you throw the same pebble on a clear, beautiful, sweet water pond, what happens? There's ripples there's ripple till the end of the pond, right? just one pebble drop. So it is the glory of the pebble. So is it the glory of the pebble, or is it the glory on the place where it falls? The place where it falls, right? So every word of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually like pebble. But if our heart is like a hard rock, the word of Srimad Bhagavatam makes no sense because they don't bounce back. Because our heart is dull, it is like book. The verses of Bhagavatam, the stories of Bhagavatam, they are like pebbles. They just fall flat, nothing happens. Then when the heart is unprepared, it becomes barren. But when our heart becomes rasic, full of rasa, the pond of waters, sweet devotion, every word of Shastra becomes pebble, creating ripples of ecstasy in the pond of our heart. Does it make sense? So, therefore, there is no question of blaming, no question of criticizing, no question of complaining. Whenever you write an email, you see CC and BCC, which means if you take shelter of CC, Chaitanya Charitamrita, you will overcome BCC, blaming, complaining, and criticizing. And then the email that you write, the two is Radha Madhav. And what is that email? The offering of our heart. When you write a letter, the letter is important, but the envelope is also important, right? We cannot send letters without an envelope. And similarly, we cannot send empty letters because what will the person read? There is nothing inside. What's the point of sending the letter then? So every practice of devotion that we execute, whether it's chanting japa, whether it's offering mangalarti on the altar, whether it's reading Srimad Bhagavatam, whether it is hearing, whether it's honoring prasadam, whether it's building a temple, whether it's preaching, whether it's sweeping the floor. Dear devotees, it is all like an envelope. They are activities, but what letter, the devotional spirit behind it to please Krishna is what actually the letter is. Every circumstances, who is sending it? Krishna is sending it. So every circumstance, I have to send back. Dear devotees, human form. Life in the human form is actually a love story. It's a love story between two lovers who are separated. Who they are? Krishna and us. Two lovers who have separated for such a long time. Their attempt to come together, that is life. Human form, human life is actually a perfect love story between two lovers, and they have to write letters to come together. And Krishna is writing beautiful, wonderful letters to get us back. We just need to reciprocate. We just need to write letters of affection back. So our devotion is the letter, and the expression of that devotion is the envelope. So we may be chanting japa, but if we don't feel for Krishna, if our heart is not there, thanking Krishna for every single breath that we get, it's like sending empty envelopes, but no letters in it. Sometimes people get to other extremes. They say, why should I chant? I feel in my heart. So they may have the letter, but they need the envelope to get there. They may have the devotional spirit, but service is also important. It is the envelope. Without that, we cannot send letters. So we are in the material world. The destination address to is the lotus feet of Radha Madhav. Our chanting, our services is the envelope. And the devotional spirit behind that is the love letter. And that is possible only when we recognize Krishna's love. Otherwise, how can you love him? How can you reciprocate and serve him? When we think he don't love us, that's why he's giving us such problems. How can we serve such a person whom we think doesn't love us, right? But when but when we are convinced that Krishna loves us, that when we and that's when we feel like serving him with affection. Simple example. Sometimes someone invites us for prasadam, gives us 4 hot rotis with nice tasty sabzi. So there are 3 responses we can give. Eat, honor prasadam, ignore the hard work, and complain about what's lacking. Have we seen some people like that ourselves so many times? Everything is perfect, but we find that fault that the salt is less or more in some of the preparations. And when Mataji asked us, how's the prasad? We say, well, that's okay, but too much salt. What is this? Weren't you paying attention? This is one response we can get. And that's the worst response on the list. Because there's so much sweetness that we get. Like we go blind to all that and we pick on the smallest salt preparation and make a mountain of the molehill. Then better response would be when we see that they ask, how is it? The person says, that's very nice, okay. But in this sabzi, the salt is a bit more. What's happening? The person is saying that there is some more salt, but at least he acknowledges that the preparation was tasty. Even higher than that response is, everything is so wonderful. Thank you. Well, is that truth? That is truth, depending on how we see it. Because if we are convinced of what comes on the tongue, then this is salty and that is tasty. But if we see the number of hours that Mataji has put in the kitchen making rotis, how much work she has had taking care of the home, taking care of the child, and husband, and job, maybe balancing so many services in the temple, and still inviting us for prasad. Spending 4 hours in the kitchen, what she cooked. That is sweet. And that is sweeter than the salt and the sabzi. And even higher than that is seeing in our heart, that first thanking the Mataji, thank you Mataji, but in the heart saying, thank you for being an instrument who actually made this for me today. Radha Madhav made this. Like whoever actually made this was Radha Madhav who did it. They inspired that Mataji. How many rotis to make? They inspired that Mataji. What idea? What sabzi to make? What is the dimension of the sabzi? So she got the home where she could cook. She got the ingredients, the money. She got the intelligence to what to mix where and when, and how to cut and everything, and what the and what to put where. And it is actually done by Radha Madhav. They are inspiring that Mataji what to do. So we thank Radha Madhav. So who actually cooked it? Radha Madhav cooked it because they love us. When when we honor prasadam, the aspect of honoring prasadam can be bhakti, because we are tasting the love of Krishna. And at that moment, sitting in the prasadam hall, we are tasting what Krishna feels for us. That is the taste of Krishna's heart. What we are tasting is Krishna's heart. Krishna loves us so much that he says, even if you don't chant, even if you have ego, even if you have lust, anger, pride, and all these anarthas, trust me, I love you. With all your anarthas, I love you. Krishna is telling us. Just like the child may pass urine, stool, but the mother still loves the child. In fact, the mother cleans the child, bathes the child, decorates the child, and now the child looks so attractive that the neighbors come together and starts playing with the child. So we are all like children, and Radha Madhav are our parents, and we are smeared with stool and urine of our false ego and our negative thoughts and activities and past mistakes and future mistakes. But guess what? They still unconditionally love us, and there's nobody who accepts us as they do. And it's they who cleans us, bathes us with their affection, and and it's then and it's them who will make us so attractive that people around us will come and take us and talk to us, because now the child looks so attractive, not because not because the child not because of the child, but because of the mother who bathed the child. So, dear devotees, you can honor prasadam in so many ways. We can blame and complain about what's missing. We can thank them, but also say that this is better. Or we can honor and just and thank them for being an instrument. And actually, thanking them 20% and thanking in our heart 80% to Sri Radha Madhav, because we are convinced about who did it, that Krishna did it. He is thinking of me at this point. Otherwise, why why would we why would he send an invitation of prasadam my way? There are billion and billion of jivas. He could have sent he could have sent it to someone else, but he is sending it to me because Radha Madhav is thinking of me at this point. And can you def- every circumstances which comes our way is actually sent by Radha Madhav. With every circumstance, our desire to serve them just go high, and the desire serving everyone around goes higher, because they were the one who was chosen by Radha Madhav to give it to me. So thank you so much. So the affection to them is not independent, but it's dependent on the affection that we have. This is Krishna consciousness. There is nothing to worry, nothing to complain, nothing to blame, nothing to criticize. We as community coming together with Radha Madhav, Prabhupada, and Guru Maharaj as our center. We may have subtle differences in our opinions, doesn't matter. Every circumstance that comes our way is being passed through these three layers. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna never makes mistake, and Krishna loves us. And he's our ever well-wishing best friend. So, Final question last. So when you see a mango, do you remember its reflection? But when you see a reflection, do you remember the mango? All the time. When we see the reflection of the mango, it reminds us of the mango. So the spiritual world is the mango, and this world is the reflection. By being in this spiritual world, we will not think of the reflection of this world. But by living in the reflection, it is only and only designed to remind us of the mango. When we hear the pastime of Krishna, it is not to remember the pastime of our children, the crawling of Krishna. Oh, my baby also used to crawl like this. That's not the purpose of Krishna book. The purpose of Krishna book is when we see our baby crawl, we remember crawling of Krishna. So every circumstance is in life is actually a reflection, which is actually bringing us closer to the fruit. The lotus feet of Krishna, which is the fruit. So let's start reading the letters that Krishna sends us every day. We are reading so many letters that people send us on WhatsApp every morning. Karagya vasata phonam karamadhe cha WhatsAppam kamamule to Facebookam prabhate phone darshanam. The first thing before getting off bed and the last thing before going to Samadhi at night, it's the phone. And everyone gets about 70 messages in the morning, and we feel, oh, I'm so popular. Everyone loves me. Everyone wants to write to me. Now, 80% of those 70 messages, it's a good morning with a flower. Has no purpose. And many times it's just a forward. So we are ready to read the message. We are ready to hear and read the messages of the people in this world who sends us. When we will read the letters of our ever well-wishing best friend Krishna, and he does not come and give it to us, he sends through a mailman. Sometimes we complain, well, in the outside of the world, people behave like this, then I'm okay. But when Vaishnavas, devotees, behave like this, I'm heartbroken. Right? We feel sometimes. So, let us ask ourselves a question. If we associate with the outside world, the reactions that Krishna will send us will come through them. But if you associate only with devotees, Krishna will send reaction through devotees. Very simple. Krishna has to send them to us. And if we live with the devotees, then he will send through the devotees. It's not that the Vaishnavas are like that, but it is just Krishna is sending our reactions to them. So, dear devotees, Kaviraj Goswami, back to the point. He says, let's blossom the lotus of our consciousness. Let us overcome the lower tipping point of agitation. Let us stop seeing people as the reason of our distress. Let us be convinced by the three principles. Krishna is the supreme controller. Krishna never makes mistake, and Krishna loves me. So let us be convinced that we are in the martial arts school and Krishna is our martial arts teacher. And he may sometimes give punches only to make us strong. Let us remember the analogy that every circumstance is actually an antakshari. It's a letter that comes our way, and let us sing Krishna's glory through that circumstantial letter. Let us remember the analogy that life is like standing in the line in the queue to get Charanamrita. Every circumstance is Charanamrita. Let us remember the analogy that we want to have lion consciousness and not the dog consciousness. The bone-like circumstances are important, but the most important is the thrower of the bone, and that is Krishna. And let us remember the final analogy that life is actually a beautiful love story, the story of two separated lovers, the Jivatma and the Paramatma. And Krishna is trying his best to get us back to him. He's writing so many beautiful letters to us. And sometimes the letter is not very pleasing. Sometimes Krishna writes very strong letters. Oh, you fool, I'm sending you so many letters, and why don't you respond in the form of this? Dear devotees, Krishna loves attention. Think about the pastime of kicking, where he kicked the cart Shakatasar. Mother Yashoda didn't give him attention. Like, she was not giving Krishna attention. She put Krishna under a cart and talking to everyone else. And the sound of the instruments were so loud that Krishna is crying and Mother Yashoda's attention. And he's not getting Mother Yashoda's attention because she couldn't hear him. What did Krishna do? He just kicked the cart. And the cart tumbled over. And everyone is saying Krishna is the one who kicked. Why did Krishna kick? Because he don't because he he because he don't want Mother Yashoda to see somewhere else, because he wants attention, because he loves attention. And then and when Krishna kicked the cart is then when Mother Yashoda left everything and came to Krishna. So exactly like that, Paramatma, Krishna is in our heart and crying for our attention. And the sound of the instruments of our planning in this world is so loud that sometimes Krishna has to kick the cart of our life, only so that we helplessly run towards him. Krishna is calling out to us through Bhagavad Gita, and when we do not pay attention, he drops a pebble on our head. Not to hurt us, but to get our attention. So we don't have to wait for those pebbles. When Krishna calls us, we can just look out, and then there is no possible. And then there is no pebbles. So, dear devotees, with all the analogies, with all these discussions, let us come together as we are for all times to come, understanding what happens on a personal front, health-wise, economically, family, work, community, and society at large. Whatever happens to us, whatever, wherever, whichever place, whatever time, the details may be different, but the sender of the bone is our well-wisher, Sri Krishna. And if we love him, then there is no pain. We feel like serving him with gratitude for what he is sending our way. So let's start seeing Krishna in every circumstances, in everything. And when we start doing those things, our whole perspective will change. And then our our mood swings, like talking to this person in a different way and that person in a different way, that will change and we will start to act equally with everyone because we see Krishna's hand in every circumstances. No matter what someone does, no matter who criticizes us, who glorifies us, it doesn't matter. We should just remember that Krishna is the supreme controller. Every situation is sanctioned by Krishna. He never makes mistake, and Krishna loves us like no one else in the whole creation has ever loved us. Thank you. Vanchakapataruvyasya kripasindhubhaya vijapatitanam pavanabhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namah. Any questions?
Very good. It was a very nice class. I I liked so many points, not one or two or three, but so many points, and you have prepared it very nicely. So thank you so much for sharing with us your knowledge, and it was very nice. I love that point where when the transition period, when we are in between two mothers, who takes care of us. So that point that I liked, and then this one also, when you were speaking about the father throwing away the child. So I was remembering Kunti Maharani's prayer, and then you connected that. So that was also very good. So thank you so much. It's throughout the class and the present. I mean, very pleasant presentation, and throughout the class, we all I don't know, but I had a smile on my face throughout the class. So I with this class, I will try to see Krishna's hand all the time and not blame the circumstance. I also like that point where you were saying that um, the letter comes and the postman gives. We should not be uh, thinking that the postman came and gave that. We should not think why. We should think no. We should not think. We should think what. So very profound explanations and very nicely put together. It was very good. So thank you. That's what I can say. Very bore.
Thank you, Madhuri. I don't know anything. I was just you know what I did.
Yes, that was very good. It's very nice. Thank you. Ashka is also there.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. I like your classes, what you explained. It seems that you are not explaining first time. It seems you are very very well explain you.
It's yours. It's your humility, Mataji. I don't know anything.
Oh, really? Well explained. Sorry for late joining. I busy. That's why I joined later.
No
Okay.
problem.
Okay, then we can leave.
We can leave. 8
Mm-hmm.
p.m. 8 p.m. maybe join for shlokas.
8 p.m. we will join. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Okay.
Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Valjakalpatarusha Prasindhu Patidanam Pavanabhyo
Okay.
Vaishnavaya Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.